I brought a special guest here with me today. I'll tell you who she is a little bit later, but this way, at least I know one person is going to be listening to me today. So it's my wife, Sheetal. So there you go. Anyway, guys, you guys good so far? You enjoy your day so far? Okay, that's good. Real good. All right. Well, this is a very exciting part of the program that is a new part of the business for TribalScale, and it's an honor for me to get to talk to you a little bit about it. And so I'm leading what we call the Venture Studio Showcase. So here's what we're going to do. Very briefly, a welcome and an introduction from me, give you guys a little bit of context. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Venture Studio model. You are going to meet 4 exciting and interesting startup companies that actually were born from the Venture Studio, and then we'll close things up hopefully in a pretty exciting way. So before we get started, let me just give you just a little bit of context about myself and why I care about this topic and should have something to say about it. So a little bit of context about me. So as she pointed out, my name is Peter Aceto. I worked for 21 years with ING Direct, so a direct web and mobile bank. I was the 8th employee with ING Direct here in Canada, and I see some of my colleagues, former colleagues, are here today. My wife and I then moved to the US to help contribute to starting ING Direct in the US. We were then asked to come back home, and for 9 years, I was the CEO of ING Direct here in Canada. During that period of time, we were asked by ING Group to sell our business. Scotiabank was the ultimate purchaser for almost $3.2 billion, which precipitated the name change from ING Direct to Tangerine. So hopefully make that connection for you. There are 2 things about ING Direct that most people don't know, and I think it's a good opportunity to share with you a little bit about them. And I think it's quite relevant, actually. The first is that the first ING Direct in the world was in Canada. It later launched in 8 other countries around the world. So there were 9 ING Directs around the world. In the first 10 years of ING Direct, it amassed 22 million global clients, 500 billion in retail client balances, and was one of the fastest growing companies in the entire world in the 2000s. So pretty interesting. The second thing that I'd like to add about that is the first ING Direct in the world was launched here in Canada, and Canadians were involved in the launch of every ING Direct around the world. So it is from that context of working in an industry that's very challenging and trying to figure out how to be an innovator that I end up having the perspectives that I have today. You know, innovation is very, very difficult, and I think you heard from the panel that it's not the easiest thing in the world. Companies today and in all industries are spending billions of dollars on their innovation labs to try and figure out how to speed up the pace of innovation. But I think we all struggle very, very much with how to get the return on that investment. You know, are we getting the culture change inside of our organization? Are we having the impact on our clients and the client experience? Are we getting the ROI from our investment in these labs? And generally, the answer is no. And in recent months, we've heard from companies like Nordstrom and Coca-Cola and Disney and others deciding that they're actually reducing or shutting down their innovation labs because they're challenged to get the ROI that they really, really need. You know, one thing I've learned from my time trying to be an innovator along with the team is that in order to accelerate innovation, you need to collaborate. So to accelerate, you need to collaborate. And we need to learn the skills of thinking beyond our own walls and partnering with small companies, entrepreneurs, founders, et cetera. This reminds me of a few stories. So generally what we did at ING Direct was we bought simple software products off the shelf, and we did most of the customization and development and integration work ourselves. We had a fantastic technology team and a wonderful relationship with the client people and the business people. But something really interesting happened in 2008, 2009, and this was the whole topic of mobility, so the ubiquitousness of smartphones in our lives. It was in and around that time where we realized that we needed to think very, very differently and that we needed to become a mobile-first financial institution in order to continue to stay ahead of our competitors. But you needed to build brand new competencies and new skills within your business in order to do that. So instead of choosing to do that, we chose to learn the skill and competency of partnership. How is it that we could find ways to harness the power of small companies, entrepreneurs, startups, so that we didn't try and have to hire and compete with all of our competitors to hire the same fantastic people? So I'll give you two very concrete examples that were really important for our business because of this competency and thinking broadly about cooperation and collaboration. The first is remote deposit capture. So this is the ability to take a picture of your check and it automatically gets deposited to your account. So ING Direct was the first in Canada to be able to provide that. The reason why we were able to do that so quickly, one of the reasons, is because we partnered with companies who figured out how to make the imaging and the interface work better for our customers. This innovation, the fact that we were able to do it before our competitors, was a game changer for our business. Our clients' Net Promoter Score, they were very, very excited and thrilled. They referred tons and tons of customers to join ING Direct. And one other pleasant surprise is it reduced all the paper check volume we had, so automated a tremendous amount of our processes. Another great example that I really like is ING Direct was a very early adopter of e-signatures. So one problem we had, our clients had, was if you wanted to transfer your registered retirement savings plan to us, it was paper-driven. You had to do a wet signature. This is, for our American friends, the same as a 401k in terms of the process. In 2 weeks, with about $50,000, we're able to do a proof of concept with a local Canadian startup to bring e-signatures to this process. Several months later, it became a part of our processes in general. Again, drove all the paper out of our business, decreased error rates, and created a great satisfaction for our customers as well. So look, to innovate, we need to collaborate and cooperate and with entrepreneurial companies. Now look, a lot of progress has been made over the years. So all of you guys who've been working really hard in innovation in the corporate setting, we've made progress. We're definitely moving faster and are more client-focused than ever before. But change is happening faster than ever. I mean, the pace of change, the expectations of our customers has never been going faster. And to do things the same way, I don't think is going to lead to this type of success. We as corporates need to learn to harness the power of the entrepreneur and the entrepreneurial spirit somehow. This is what I discovered in my years with ING Direct, along with my colleagues. So I was fortunate enough to meet Sheetal and Roger and Kirsten and TribalScale and learned that they desire to be at the forefront of innovation as well. And we coincidentally shared the same view about how that was going to happen. So it made absolute sense for me to become an executive in residence with the team and help build venture studios along with them, particularly on the fintech side. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about how TribalScale is reimagining corporate innovation and the Innovation Lab. Firstly, TribalScale has access to lots of global Fortune 500 companies through the digital product work that they do for them, as well as helping them transform their businesses and making them more agile on the inside. And this is global, and it's across many, many sectors, whether it's airlines or cruise lines, automotive, broadcasters, professional sports, et cetera. It's pretty impressive and pretty exciting. This gives TribalScale the ability to really understand the roadmaps of these companies, the problems that they're having trouble solving, the opportunities that they want to seize. So they have great corporate insights. They have very good relationships with very, very senior executives throughout the world. Because they've been developing and delivering digital products for them, they've got a global distribution capabilities with offices all around the world, as well as being very, very experienced from a product perspective. One thing that I think is very unique and really makes me a little bit excited as well is included in the TribalScale vision is they have venture capital capabilities, meaning as they co-create companies with their corporate partners, TribalScale is going to invest in them right alongside their corporate partners. So having real skin in the game that everybody get the outcome that we all need and hope for. This is the venture studios model, to really co-create disruptive startups right alongside corporations who want to innovate faster and better. So how do we do it? So what I wanted to share with you is, so every morning for the last 14 weeks, I get up and I go somewhere. And my wife has no idea where I'm going. So I invited her to come today so she would find out from you guys, with you guys, exactly what the heck I've been up to. So she's right there. So here, you're going to find out right now, honey. Okay, this is what we have been up to. So because we've had these relationships with corporations all around the world in different industries, they've been very kind to give us access to industry advisors, so senior experts in their field. What we've been able to do is we've been able to do industry interviews. In fact, we had access to 20 industry advisors for this very first cohort. We interviewed them so we could really understand the problems that they were having trouble solving, the segments that they weren't being able to get access to. We found common themes. We took those common themes and framed them in ideas and went back to validate whether these ideas were real things that they wanted to solve. We then were able to find 2 founders and 2 companies that solve 2 of those problems, and we were able to start 2 companies from scratch, also specifically designed to solve those problems. Quickly build a minimum viable product, and are prepared right now to launch 4 businesses out of this 14-week process. It's actually incredible. I think about my time with ING Direct and Tangerine, and then also working for a big company, and my friends who are trying to innovate in different big companies. To make progress like this in 3.5 months is it's absolutely fantastic and exciting from my perspective. So who are the people who really make this happen? I mean, it's not just me and a handful of people. As I mentioned, we have tremendous access to global corporate Fortune 500 companies who provide us great insights as well as resources that we can talk to. We also have 4 executives in residence. So each of these executives in residence have over 20 years experience in either automotive or financial services for the first cohort. We've got access to entrepreneurs. So we have 2 entrepreneurs in residence. These are serial successful entrepreneurs who really understand the entrepreneurial experience and helped us find other founders and teams that could be a part of the TribalScale Venture Studio. And of course, we have access to the Venture Studio team from a leadership perspective, from a design perspective, and all those skills and capabilities. This is what we've been up to for the last 14 weeks, and we have 4 real businesses to solve 4 real problems that we heard about from our partners. So, that's the introduction to it. Now's the exciting part where we actually get to share with you these four companies. So here's how it's going to work. Each is going to get a 1-minute introduction to briefly introduce the founder or the representative of the organization. They're going to deliver a 5-minute pitch to each of you. Now, 5 minutes is not a very long time, obviously, to explain the business. So we have this great demo facility. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to see it. All 4 of these businesses will be there. They're all wearing their corporate shirt. So please go talk to them, learn about the process, learn about their business, and in many cases, sign up to be a customer or to somehow be involved. Okay, so I get the privilege to introduce the first founder and the first business. Now, we learned from speaking to industry advisors that in financial services, they're very, very focused on the consumer segment, the large consumer segment. They're also very, very focused on commercial segments, but are really challenged to some extent to understand the millennial entrepreneur, the gig economy type of worker, and focus on small, medium-sized enterprises. So we heard this very, very clearly. We've also spoken to millennial entrepreneurs who we learned are underbanked. I mean, many of them don't have access to basic business banking services. Well, not for long. So I'm about to introduce you to Every, who has spent the last year working on solving this problem and understanding the millennial entrepreneur, and then in the last 14 weeks working with the financial services team at TribalScale to refine that. So to hear more about Every, allow me the honor to introduce you to Jeremy Black, the CEO of Every. Jeremy.
Are you a hand talker? I'm a hand talker. I'm a hand talker. My name is Shay, and I have a kids' clothing line that I design and have made locally. And my company is called Surfing Ninjas. For 15 years, I was in corporate marketing for a very large, well-known retailer. I went back to school for a small stint when I wanted to venture off, and then I have been now my own boss for 2 years. Working from home for me is a game changer for our family and really important for us because I can be right here. I can pick up my son from school every afternoon. I get to go on field trips. I get to go into my home if I need to be a part of what's going on in my household, if we've got people coming and whatnot. But really, it's just been a huge freedom for our family and creates so much flexibility. It's amazing. Most of our sales are done online, and I go through Shopify, who I love so much, and I love their gurus so much. Most of my marketing is done through Instagram. That's where I've gotten a lot of opportunities and buzz and movement. It's really difficult to always be getting paid on time, especially since I'm such a small business, and making sure that I'm also paying my vendors on time, being that I know them and I know their families. The best advice that I could give would be to find your tribe. Being an entrepreneur, you are most of the time by yourself. You don't have a coworker, an employee, or somebody to bounce ideas off of, to have your back, to give you advice. So for me, the community that I've made with these other entrepreneurs has really been, well, I wouldn't be here without them.
There are 5 million millennial entrepreneurs just like her across North America. And these entrepreneurs are building stores on Shopify, they're invoicing customers in Wave, they're scheduling services on Jobber. And these are the operating systems of a millennial entrepreneur's business. They're the operating systems of a modern small business. They're the first place that these entrepreneurs go to in order to get information about new products and advice to expand their businesses. Listen to the way Shay talks about Shopify in that video. Could you imagine her talking about a bank in that same way? I doubt it. The reality is people like Shay are using personal bank accounts to run their businesses. Let that sink in for a moment. We talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs just like Shay, and they told us that business banking services are confusing, they're frustrating, and believe it or not, they're intimidating. But what if banking services were as easy to set up as a Shopify store, or as fast and engaging as sending somebody an invoice through Wave? Well, with Every, we can sign up someone for an account in less than 7 minutes. We give them a real business bank account that completely replaces the need for a traditional financial institution. It comes with a personalized Every Visa debit card. It's not about confusing reward schemes or faux luxury. It's about the entrepreneur. It's about their business, and ultimately, it's about their lifestyle. And when you want to move money, it's lightning fast, and it's elegantly simple. Whether that's getting faster access to deposits from your Shopify store, paying your cell phone bill, or paying a key vendor or freelancer. We'll let that run for a second. Get the whole experience. And beyond the essentials, we're trying to just bring business finances into view with sort of at-a-glance financial health checks and simple things that you would think we would have already done, like automatically categorize expenses to make preparation of taxes and bookkeeping easier. Think of Every like a loyal companion. We're sort of there when you need us, but we don't require a ton of attention. And eventually, over time, we hope Every just disappears into the products you're already using to run your business, making those products better by injecting financial services into them and making managing your money a little bit easier. I'm excited to announce that in July, Every will be available to the first 100 members of our early access list. Yes, we will be launching in July. Yes, these accounts have FDIC deposit insurance. Yes, we've stood up a bank in 5 months. We are focused on the US market, so we're providing US dollar accounts to US-based businesses. And today we're excited to announce that we raised financing from a fantastic group of investors and banking experts, including TribalScale through the Venture Studio, Ryerson Futures, who many of you will be familiar with, Peter, who you just met. Where's my friend Peter? Thanks for your support, Peter. And Kirk Simpson, the CEO of Wave. Kind of get a sense of our strategy there. If you are interested in supporting entrepreneurs like Shay, if you love entrepreneurs like Shay, if you are a side hustler yourself, but you still want a full-time job, come and find me. We're a focused and empowered team, and we're hoping to make entrepreneurship just a little bit easier, sort of one Shay at a time. Thank you.
My name is Fareed Qasim, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, executive, investor, and advisor. And I've been fortunate to have 20 years of experience in building, innovating, and scaling startup ideas in the financial services space and the healthcare industry. Lately, I've been working with corporations on, dare I say, transformation and innovation strategies. And so when TribalScale approached me with their Venture Studio corporate innovation model, I got really excited at the prospect of building and scaling this model together. So here I am, happy to be here. But enough about me. So as we began this journey 14 weeks ago, our team went through 200 ideas. We pored over all these ideas. We talked to corporate executives, we spoke with entrepreneurs, startups, industry leaders. We validated, we debated, we rejected, we boiled down all these ideas. And as we did this, we found out that there was something happening. There was a perfect storm brewing in that the number of formal relationships, the formal partnerships between financial institutions and fintech startups is dramatically on the rise, and is continuing to do so. But the big question was, how quickly are these relationships being consummated? So as a senior bank executive said to me once, while I was going through this journey, if you can find me a solution that takes 8 months of time and reduces it to 2 weeks, for us to be able to onboard a fintech startup onto our platform, I'll write a check. And we got many of these validations across the board. And as we did so, we realized it's time to bring a solution to the market. And Mesh was born. So it's my real pleasure right now to introduce to you Preeti Malik from our team and Mesh.
Thank you, Fareed. He's amazing. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here in front of you all today. This is excited. Few of us who are speaking today actually were discussing what we are going to wear today. I was the only woman there in that discussion. And in that discussion, 2 of my cousin brothers are there, and I said, I'm wearing a Mesh t-shirt. And let me tell you, Indian brothers are very, very overprotective. So my cousin brothers in the crowd, I meant Mesh t-shirt, not the Meshy t-shirt. And isn't it an amazing name? Now let me provide a little introduction about me. My experience comes from working with large financial institutions all across the globe. And when I say all across the globe, yes, I have lived and traveled in 4 different time zones in 1 week, sleeping and eating at the airports. And believe it or not, one time I was served a half alive snake. And I didn't have much choice. And I ate it. And it tasted pretty good. And you know what? I was vegetarian at that point. Not anymore. But one thing I always made sure that I made my clients successful through my consulting career. I have worked very closely with the C-suites and boards strategizing their business and technology transformations. And in fact, in my last role, where I led the Canadian national practice, or the global practice for the risk and compliance at Accenture, My role and my mission was to bring innovative solutions in the marketplace backed up by blockchain and artificial solutions. And it was very difficult. I have also worked very closely with the fintechs, helping them find right partnerships, showing them the path to global growth and scale. Last year, I was working with a large bank and their CEO. So even the large bank, the CEO, their problems, their discussions are exactly the same what we are discussing here today, innovation. Let me share a very recent experience with you all. I was in a meeting with a bank executive just a few weeks ago. This person, this executive, she's running a large program and has a budget of about $15 million to be spent on innovative fintechs. Her issue is that it's not easy to source the right partnerships in a short period of time. And even if she does, the onboarding process is going to take long. So she asked me a question. Do me and my network has any experience with these fintech companies who come tested? This certainly wasn't the first time when I got such question. And through my experiences, I can tell you that these challenges are bigger than ever in the marketplace. Why? Because the game has really changed. We are seeing explosion of fintech companies entering the marketplace. New players, such as Apple, Google, Amazon, are in the financial services sector now. So the landscape, the competitive landscape, has really changed from traditional banking. Banks have their own challenges, such as their core banking systems are retiring. And they must find ways to innovate and incorporate new technologies. Talent needs have changed. Did you hear about skills, data scientist, and design thinking in the past? Now, it's a must-have skill in all the organizations. Culture changes are being openly spoken about. Just very recently, RBC CEO's Dave McKay in his speech said, we are preparing our people for the new digital era. Mindsets are very different now. We validated these trends and problems with multiple global institutions. In the past few weeks, we met with many executives, and it was evident that financial institutions are faced with these challenges. But we also believe that these challenges could turn into great opportunities. Today, customers have many more choices when it comes to financial products. We just heard from Every. Global banks, their profits are at risk. And the banks know it. They know it that they have to innovate. They have to innovate outside of their four walls, which means collaboration with fintechs, connecting globally, and changing the way we looked at the corporate innovation. And banks are responding to it, such as JP Morgan have secured $400 million in the fintech investment, and HSBC about $200 million. These are just the examples from two banks, so you can imagine that this is at much larger scale, what's happening in the industry. Today, we live in those days where we don't have a choice but to change and innovate. If you remember Nokia CEO's last speech before they were acquired, he said, we did not do anything wrong, but we lost. Why? Because there was a greater need for innovation. And how do we make it happen? What is the solution to increase and support this innovation? There has to be a solution to connect financial institutions and fintechs. There has to be a solution to make the onboarding process easy and seamless. And there has to be a solution to think at global scale. And this is how Mesh was born. Mesh is the global operating system for fintech and financial institutions. And benefit of Mesh is that we will turn years and months of effort and back and forth to days and weeks. Let me give you an example. When fintech starts a relationship with financial institution, they have to complete approximate 400 questions, and the end-to-end process could look like 6 to 10 months. You heard it right. 6 to 10 months and 400 questions. So with a solution like Mesh, financial institutions can save millions of dollars wasted in the process and increase the pace of innovation, growth, and scaling the fintech and their own businesses. This is how Mesh will work. There are 3 phases of the project build-out. Phase 1, build the world's biggest database of global fintech and financial institutions. The fintech will be pre-screened, and upon initiating the relationship with the banks will have access to all the required documentations provided by the fintech. Phase 2, where we will connect the workflow between the financial institutions and the fintech. So imagine a complete automation for the onboarding process and the vendor screening-related processes. And let me tell you, this does not exist in the marketplace today. Phase 3, Mesh is the only operating model system in the market which will exist, where financial institutions and fintechs will handle connecting their API and making the technology integration easy, fast, and secure. And did I mention that we will achieve this building this platform on blockchain and artificial technologies? And once we have gone through all these 3 phases, we will collect that data and provide the industry benchmarking to support this innovation, scaling, and the growth. This is our ultimate goal with Mesh. And today, right here, we are thrilled to announce that this partnership has already started. We are currently in talks with the financial institutions to create this most optimal solution. And our ask today from you all is, we want your support and partnership to take this innovation to the next level. Banks' large budget and innovative fintechs won't be able to scale without a solution like Mesh. So if you're a financial institution, please come talk to us. And if you're a fintech, please visit us after, register on our platform, and I can tell you, you definitely want to be on Mesh. And lastly, please provide your feedback as we grow Mesh. And before I go, just very quickly, with me, there was a team of people working on Mesh. Fareed, Deepak, just give a wave to the crowd here. And all of you, say loudly, Mesh. Come on, let's see the energy before the lunch. Mesh. Thank you very much for listening.
To see what Mesh is going to be growing into. So during our deep exploration of the ideas in the fintech cohort, one thing that we heard consistently as we spoke with financial services executives, that one of their biggest ticket items, mortgages, was a high priority. Specifically, enhancing the customer home ownership journey, as well as providing their internal sales teams with simple yet powerful tools to bridge the gap between the consumer experience and bank profitability. Well, guess what? We have a startup in our cohort that does just that. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Troüpe Barwani, the CEO of Senso.
Thank you very much, Fareed. I got to start off by saying it is super exciting to see Team Corporate and Team Startup mixing so well today. It's awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Troüpe Barwani, CEO of Senso. And today, I'm going to address a fundamental problem which exists in the mortgage industry, one that my team and I have been working on with leading banks and lenders for over a decade. There's over $10 trillion in residential mortgage debt in North America. And on average, 15% of consumers switch lenders unpredictably every single year. These days, people are more savvy than ever. And despite being called by their banks, many still decide to switch. For example, as interest rates go up, people feel squeezed. So they talk to friends, brokers, realtors. They go to rate comparison websites, just to name a few. And as a result, mortgage servicing portfolios at the largest banks continue to shrink. And in Canada, with nearly half of mortgages coming up for renewal this year, many banks in this room who spent billions to originate the loans on their books are at significant risk. And this problem is only going to get worse, because as players like Amazon get into mortgage lending, your portfolios are more exposed than ever before. Now, here's the thing. My team and I have been working on this problem for a long time, and we know it's not going to be solved from the inside out. You need a market-wide perspective, and that's where we come in. Introducing Senso, the predictive mortgage portfolio platform of the future. We elevate the market by using machine learning to tailor a personalized experience and naturally engage customers to acquire and retain them. Here's how we do it. We analyze thousands of features over an amortization period, and by aggregating terabytes of market-wide credit bureau, real estate, geospatial, economic, product, and behavioral data, we use AI to predict customer behavior. We can tell lenders when customers are going to list and sell their properties, shop for a better rate, or get influenced by brokers, the news and social media, or rate changes. We then route these segments to the most optimal channel, branch, call center, web, or mobile, to maximize retention and profitability. We offer these insights in a beautiful dashboard where lenders can track their portfolio growth over time and act on opportunities to acquire new customers and service existing ones. On a geographic level, marketing teams can build audiences based on deep insights and churn propensity and focus in on areas that matter most, ones that maximize profitability and reduce risk. And finally, on a loan level, sorted by risk, teams can actually target the right customers on the most optimal channel with the right product. Managing mortgages has never been this simple. Now, being a part of TribalScale Venture Studio has opened up our minds to new possibilities on how to improve the customer experience. And with their help, we're proud to announce the launch of a new digital channel, ones that will enable lenders to engage customers throughout the entire homeownership journey. We'll be rolling this out to our customer base later this year. To date, we're managing $280 billion in volume for leading prime and subprime lenders in the Canadian market, and we're excited to onboard new lenders in the months to come. Our end-to-end approach enables lenders to overcome and surpass the cyclical mortgage problem which has plagued this industry for years. Senso is the predictive mortgage portfolio platform of the future. By using advanced self-adaptive machine learning to improve lender efficiency, we have a roadmap for change in an industry that needs it the most. So if you're a lender in the room that wants to do a better job with acquiring and retaining customers, hold on to more revenue, and provide a world-class user experience, come chat with us after the presentation about joining our lender network and turning loan-to-value into lifetime value. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good morning, just barely. I'm Matt Crossley, and I'm an executive in residence on the automotive side of the Venture Studios. And this morning, I have the opportunity to tell you about Troüpe. So the process that we've been following, I think Peter and Fareed did a very good job of describing the process we've been going through. And we have several ideas that have come out of that on the automotive side, one of which we're going to tell you about today. Now, as an ex-General Motors chief engineer, I've had the opportunity to lead teams in China, in Canada, in Europe, and over the course of the last 10, 15 years, I've also had the chance to work in the urban mobility space. And that's really what Troüpe is all about. Troüpe takes a social layer and puts it over the urban mobility problem. And Troüpe also has a lot of product extensions as it's been designed, and I think with a smart AI background, it can fulfill and meet the needs of many travelers and commuters around the globe. So with that as background, I'm very excited to introduce Anshul Kapoor. Anshul is our program manager in the Automotive Ventures studio, and he'll tell you more about Troüpe.
How's everyone doing? All right. I love it when people ask that and you get no response, but we're good. OK, I want to introduce you to Maya, and also something completely different than what you've seen before. She's 32 years old and just coming off of mat leave. Maya works for one of the big 5 Canadian banks, and she's a senior manager. Because she's been away for a year, there's tools and processes that may have changed over time. So she's a bit nervous. Like everyone here, Maya actually commutes to and from work. And her average commute takes an hour each way daily. There's just not enough time in the day for Maya. Like everyone, she has options. She can choose to drive. She can take transit, take a bus, carpool with someone, Uber, Lyft. She can get to work by any means necessary. Hell, if she even wants, she could wake up early enough, and that little icon of bike, she could bike to work. Depending on the option she chooses, she fills in that time, goes on social media, reads, naps, listens to music, podcasts, talk radios, basically tries to fill in that time by any means necessary. This time is generally accepted by all of us here at sunk cost, those commuters that fill in the time by any means necessary, and those employers that to date have not necessarily paid attention to how their employees get to and from work. Mobility solutions that exist today focus on one thing, and one thing only. How do I get people from point A to point B? No one is focusing on the 10 billion minutes spent daily and the 3.5 trillion minutes spent annually by North Americans commuting to and from work. This downtime needs to be better utilized for the billions of Mayas around the world. And remember, this number is North America only. Every traveler is a treasure trove of data, whether it's preferences, age, profile, geospatial, life stage, financial, modality, how do you choose to drive, take transit, bike, walk. By better understanding the billions of Mayas around the world, we can turn this downtime into uptime so that Maya can use it for enjoyment, networking, mentoring, learning. The opportunities are truly endless. Introducing Troüpe, the first AI platform that actually taking advantage of time spent traveling and creating the world's greatest and biggest commuter database. Combined with commuter data and AI on top of that, we will be creating mobility and infotainment solutions that actually take advantage of time spent traveling to turn downtime into uptime. With Troüpe's mobility solutions, remember Maya, she can finally connect with someone on her commute to help her ramp up on tools and processes. Commuting is not the only time she loses time traveling. It's going to events, going to meetups, going to conferences like TakeOver. It's traveling outside of town for businesses. She can make use of all of that time for herself. Maya's employers can finally pay attention to how their employees commute to and from work, thus encouraging upskilling, cross-skilling, and better culture amongst employees both inside the door as well as outside. As Troüpe's AI gets better and our commuter database scales up, Maya will be presented with the right content, allowing her to personalize her experience. Troüpe's infotainment solutions will empower OEMs to provide a personalized in-car and in-trip experience. And remember, this becomes a really important focus when cars drive themselves, and our time is finally our time. Troüpe is the platform that is looking to change the way all of us look at how we spend time traveling. And our mobility and infotainment solutions will empower innovations of tomorrow. We're launching our beta product today. If you haven't downloaded it already, I would love for you guys to download. Unfortunately, it's an iOS app only because we only had 14 weeks. But it allows you to connect with someone today. It allows you to set your preferences, find a match, and connect. If you're a founder, you can choose to meet with investors. If you're an industry leader, you can choose to meet with founders. Whether you're a manager or a director, a product manager, an engineer, a marketer, there is a match for you here today at TakeOver. You can choose to meet in the Troüpe Lounge. You could choose to meet here. You could choose to meet in the demo area or during the networking lunch. Since this is our open beta product, we need your feedback to get better. So find someone with a Troüpe t-shirt just like this one, download the app, connect with someone, and become a Troüper. Thank you.
So as the team mentioned, this is, when I sit back and I think about what it takes to move things along this quickly, particularly in a big organization, what we've been able to accomplish, these guys have been able to accomplish in 14 weeks, for me, that's 3.5 months, is actually really quite flabbergasting and amazing when I see the innovation cycles of large corporations. In my view, the future of innovation really is around partnership and collaboration and finding ways to partner between corporations and startups. I can't remember which side Roger did each way. And I will tell you, to take a leap forward, to be faster than your competitors, thinking this way, I think is a way that we all need to consider. And I'll be honest with you, if I was running a big corporation today or I was responsible for innovation in a big corporation, I would absolutely be thinking about this model as a complement or to replace some of the things that I was doing today. So I have to just reflect, 3.5 months, we've gone from listening to corporates, triangulating down to a couple real particular issues and opportunities that need to be seized and solved. In 2 cases, found entrepreneurs and businesses that are very, very early stage to help meet those needs. In 2 cases, start businesses from scratch to help meet those needs. And I think it's really interesting. So 3 calls to action really, really quickly. So the first one is, if you are a corporate innovation leader today, come talk to us about how TribalScale's Venture Studios could do this exclusively for you. So we can do a lab for you, exclusively for you. Everyone else in the room, I mean, you just heard 5 minutes about these 4 really interesting businesses. So please go to the demo room throughout the day, and you can meet the people you met and the people involved with the 4 startups. You can hear more, and you can see some demos and see how it is that you can learn a little bit more from those guys as well. And then lastly, I need Bemi Akande to come on up here today. And I want you guys to give Bemi a round of applause. Trust me, there's a good reason why. This is Bemi. So a lot of what you've seen here in the Venture Studios and what we've been doing for the 14 weeks has a tremendous amount to do with Bemi. The guy is the guy behind the scenes, toiling, trying to make this work. And he's excited, and we're excited to share with you that we're going to have a second cohort. So we're going to do this process all over again, hopefully in July. So if you are an entrepreneur in fintech, automotive, media, or travel, come talk to Bemi. Make sure before you leave today that he knows who you are, so that we can make sure you're on the list and we can find a way to make the match that matters. Guys, thank you so much for your attention and your energy and more or less laughing at some of our jokes, and have a great lunch. Thank you, everyone.